Claire stood at her wedding reception, feeling like a stranger in her own celebration. The music played, the lights sparkled, and champagne flowed freely, but none of it reached her heart. Her older sister, Vanessa, stood nearby in a shimmering silver gown, effortlessly stealing the spotlight as usual. "I can't believe Claire actually wore Grandma's dress," Vanessa said loudly enough for a nearby group of guests to hear. "Well, I guess it suits her." Simple. Laughter followed. Claire's smile faltered. She sat quietly at the edge of the room, dabbing at the corners of her eyes, careful not to smudge her makeup. Her mother passed by and leaned down. "Sweetheart, people are watching. Smile. It's your big day." Claire forced a smile. Inside she felt like she was shrinking, collapsing beneath the weight of years of quiet judgment. "Where are you watching from today? Kindly hit like, comment and subscribe to this channel for more." Her husband, Jacob, walked over and took her hand gently. "You okay?" he asked, concern in his eyes. "You look like you need to escape." Claire let out a breath and nodded slightly. "I'm fine. Just family." Jacob chuckled softly, trying to lighten the moment. "Well, if it makes you feel any better, I heard your cousin ask if I really farm full-time." Claire smiled a little. "Let me guess, Aaron?" "Bingo," he said. She couldn't hide her surprise. Claire shook her head. "They've always cared more about status than sincerity." She looked at him and whispered, "Thank you for being here. For being real." He squeezed her hand. "Always." Around them, the reception buzzed, but Claire felt safe in that moment, shielded by the quiet honesty between them. Claire's father, Richard, clinked his glass to get the room's attention. He stood tall and poised, the kind of man who never missed a chance to make a point. "To my daughter Claire," he began, "who's chosen a life of simplicity. While others chase ambition, she has found joy in the quiet things. That takes courage." Claire felt her stomach twist. It sounded like praise, but it wasn't. The guests clapped politely, their expressions unreadable. Vanessa beamed as if she'd just won an award, while Claire sat still, feeling exposed. Jacob leaned toward her. "That was a compliment, right?" he whispered. Claire sighed. "Only if you don't read between the lines." After the speeches, Claire stood and raised her glass. Her heart thudded in her chest, but she spoke clearly. "I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up with kindness and support. Family isn't just about blood. It's about loyalty, about standing with each other when it counts. And I'm grateful to those who have done that." A hush fell over the room. Vanessa's face tightened. Claire continued, "Life doesn't always go as planned. But sometimes, it leads us exactly where we need to be." She sat down to a wave of silence. Jacob leaned in. "That was brave." She gave him a small nod. "I'm tired of pretending." He looked at her with admiration. "Then don't. Just be you." Weeks later, Claire and Jacob attended the Blair family's annual summer barbecue. The backyard was immaculate. Stone paths, glowing lanterns, and a brand new pool house Vanessa couldn't stop talking about. Claire brought her homemade potato casserole and placed it on the table. "Is that yours?" Vanessa asked with a smirk. "So rustic." Claire smiled calmly. "It's our favorite." Vanessa's husband, Brandon, stepped in. "Still doing that farming thing, Jacob?" he asked, his tone casual but condescending. Jacob replied, "Yep. We grow and sell produce and we've had a good year." Brandon chuckled. "How cute." Claire could feel the heat rise in her chest. "It's not cute," she said quietly. "It's real work." The smiles around them tightened, and a subtle shift in the air told Claire the invisible line had just been crossed. The conversation at the barbecue shifted quickly. Vanessa began talking about their latest real estate flip, while Brandon bragged about new investment properties. Claire tried to stay quiet, but when her father turned to Jacob and asked, "So, what's your 5-year plan on the farm?" "Just growing tomatoes." Jacob gave a polite smile. "We're expanding. We've invested in new irrigation systems and are building a second greenhouse." Claire added, "It's not just a farm, it's our home and our future." Her mother gave a small, tight nod. "That's nice, dear. Just don't overdo it. Life has a way of humbling dreamers." Claire blinked, unsure how to respond. The comment stung, hidden beneath a soft smile. Jacob gently touched her hand under the table. Brandon suddenly laughed and said, "You two really are the simple farm folk, huh?" The words hung in the air like smoke. Claire stiffened. What's wrong with simplicity? She asked, keeping her voice even. It's honest work. Vanessa leaned in, lips pursed. It's not ambitious. You could have done more, Claire. You always had potential. Claire looked away, her eyes burning. She remembered her school days where no matter what she did, Vanessa always outshined her, always got the spotlight. Jacob stood up quietly. I'm going to check the truck, he said, his face calm but his jaw tight. Claire watched him go, feeling the familiar ache of being the outsider. Again. Left alone, Claire stared at the flickering lanterns, her casserole untouched. Erin, her younger sister, slid into the empty chair beside her. That was harsh, she said quietly. Claire nodded but didn't answer. Erin sighed. These gatherings, they never get easier. Vanessa's been worse lately. Brandon's losing money and she's under pressure. Claire turned toward her, surprised. Really? Erin nodded. Yeah. The pool house. Financed. Their last deal flopped. Brandon's trying to cover it up. Claire blinked. So all this show, Erin finished the sentence, is just that. A show. For the first time in a long while, Claire felt a tiny flicker of understanding between them. Before Claire could respond, Vanessa appeared out of nowhere. There you two are, she said, voice bright but eyes sharp. We need a third opinion. Brandon thinks the kitchen tiles should be marble, I say slate. Come help us break the tie. Claire stood slowly. Maybe later, she said. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. Come on, Claire. Don't be like that. Erin jumped in. She said later, Vanessa. The sisters locked eyes. Claire gave a polite smile. We were just catching up. Vanessa forced a laugh. Well, don't be long. Guests are leaving soon. As she walked away, Erin whispered, she's losing control. That's why she's pushing harder. Claire whispered back, she's been pushing her whole life. Later that evening, Claire and Jacob drove home in silence. The headlights lit the long gravel road leading to their farmhouse. Jacob finally broke the silence. I should have said something back there. Claire looked at him. You didn't have to. You being there, that was enough. He glanced at her. I hate how they treat you. Like your life isn't good enough. Claire smiled faintly. Let them think what they want. They don't see what we're building. Jacob reached over and held her hand. You know I'd never let anyone take this from you, right? Claire nodded. I know. The porch light welcomed them home, casting a warm glow over the quiet land they had chosen and claimed as their own. The next morning, Claire stood by the chicken coop, watching the sun rise over their fields. She had always found comfort in the rhythm of farm life. Jacob walked up beside her, holding 2 mugs of coffee. You didn't sleep much, he said gently. Claire took a mug and nodded. My head wouldn't quiet down. All those things they said, it's like I'm still 10 years old trying to prove I matter. Jacob looked out at the land. You don't have to prove anything. Not to them. Claire smiled softly. I know. It's just hard when they still see me as the one who took the easy road. Jacob took a sip. Funny, isn't it? They think this is easy. They both laughed quietly, the only sound around them being the soft clucking of hens. That afternoon, Claire's phone rang. It was her mom. Claire stared at the screen for a moment before answering. Hi, Mom. Her mother's voice was tight. Claire, we need to have a family meeting. Saturday afternoon. It's important. Claire froze. What's going on? There was a pause. We'll talk when everyone's there. Claire's heart dropped. Is this about Vanessa and Brandon? Her mom's voice softened. It's about the whole family. Please come. Claire hung up slowly. Jacob, watching her from the porch, raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? Claire shook her head. They want a meeting. Something's wrong. And I don't think it's just drama this time. Claire and Jacob sat at the kitchen table that evening, the light dim and the air heavy. Do you think they're going to ask for help? Claire asked. Jacob leaned back. Probably. And I bet it's not small. Claire rubbed her forehead. I don't know how to feel. A part of me wants to help. But another part, she trailed off. Jacob finished her thought. Remembers every time they made you feel small. She nodded slowly. Exactly. Jacob reached for her hand. Whatever they ask, just remember, you don't owe anyone your peace. Not even family. On Saturday, the air was thick with summer heat as Claire and Jacob pulled up to her childhood home. The house looked the same, neatly trimmed bushes, the porch swing creaking in the breeze. But something felt off. Claire checked her phone. A message from Vanessa. Please come. We really need you. Jacob parked and looked at her. You ready? Claire stared at the front door. Not really. But I don't think that matters. They walked up the steps, hand in hand, bracing themselves for whatever truth was waiting behind that door. Inside, the family had already gathered. Vanessa stood near the fireplace, arms crossed, her usual glow dimmed. Brandon sat beside her, unusually quiet. Claire's parents sat on the couch, their expressions serious. Aaron gave Claire a small nod. Thanks for coming, her dad said. Claire and Jacob sat down. No one spoke for a moment. Then her mom cleared her throat. We're in trouble. Financially. Claire's heart sank. Vanessa stepped forward. It's bad. Brandon's company made some risky decisions. And now everything's falling apart. The house. The savings. Everything's on the line. Claire sat still, processing the weight of those words. How did this happen? She asked. Brandon sighed. We trusted someone we shouldn't have. Made an investment that tanked. We tried to fix it, but we're out of time. Vanessa looked directly at Claire. We need your help. Claire's chest tightened. What kind of help? Her father spoke next. Your farm. It's the only property not tied up. If you sell it, we could use the money to pay off the debts. Save the house. Claire stared at them, stunned. You want us to sell our home? Jacob shifted in his seat. That's not just land to us, he said. It's our life. Our work. Vanessa folded her arms. We wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. We could lose everything. Claire's voice trembled. You mean we could lose everything, or you? Her mom interrupted. Claire, this affects all of us. We're family. Claire looked around the room. Now we're family? Where was that when I was marrying Jacob? Or when I started the farm and no one showed up for the harvest festival? Silence fell. Claire stood. I'm sorry, but I can't give you an answer. Not yet. As they drove home, the silence between Claire and Jacob was heavy. They actually want us to give it all up, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Jacob kept his eyes on the road. It's not about the money. It's about control. They never believed in us and now they want what we've built. Claire nodded slowly. And the worst part? I knew it was coming. I just didn't think they'd actually say the words. Jacob reached over, resting a hand on her knee. We'll figure it out. Together. Back at the farmhouse, the air felt different. Claire walked into the kitchen and stared out the window at the fields. They'll be back, she said. They're desperate. Jacob stood beside her. Then we need to be ready. Claire looked up at him. There's something else, isn't there? Jacob hesitated. I've been working on something. I didn't say anything because I wanted it to be real before I shared it. Claire turned to face him. Jacob, what is it? He took a deep breath. Come with me. I want to show you. Jacob led her to the old barn at the edge of the property. Inside, it wasn't dusty and forgotten like she expected. It was spotless, with blueprints pinned to the walls and computer equipment humming softly in the corner. What is all this? Claire asked, amazed. Jacob smiled. This is our future. I've been developing new tech for soil health, irrigation, and crop tracking. Quietly. I've even filed patents. Claire blinked, stunned. You never told me, he nodded. I wanted to see who believed in us without knowing the numbers. Claire stood in silence, overwhelmed. Everything she thought she knew had just shifted. Claire stepped closer to the sketches and charts taped to the barn wall. You built all of this. In secret? She asked softly. Jacob nodded. Over 5 years. I didn't want the pressure, especially not from your family. I needed the work to speak for itself. He walked over to a small filing cabinet and pulled out a folder. This is the official registration for Stone Agricultural Technologies. I'm not just testing ideas. We're a real company now. Claire opened the folder with trembling hands. Her eyes landed on financial documents, grant applications, and a federal approval letter for a drought-resistant crop project. Jacob, this is huge. Jacob looked at her, his voice low. Our farm is more than just crops. It's a live research facility. We've partnered with local universities and submitted results to national trials. Claire, we're part of something big. I just didn't want you to feel burdened with all the moving parts while dealing with everything else. Claire sat down on an overturned crate, eyes wide. So when Brandon mocked you, when Vanessa dismissed our life, Jacob gave a tired smile. They were laughing at a man who might one day feed nations. Claire let out a long breath. They have no idea what they're asking us to give up. The next morning, Claire's phone buzzed again. It was a text from Vanessa. We're coming by today. Need to talk. Please don't say no. Claire showed it to Jacob. He nodded. Let them come. But we're not playing by their rules anymore. Claire agreed. She was done shrinking herself. That afternoon they set up chairs in the shade outside the farmhouse. Claire wore jeans and a work shirt. Jacob stayed in his usual boots and button-down. When the family arrived, Vanessa, Brandon, her parents, even Aaron trailing behind, they looked out of place in crisp clothes and uncomfortable shoes. But Claire didn't offer to make them more comfortable. Her father cleared his throat. We came to talk about the farm again. We know it's asking a lot, but we hope you'll reconsider. Claire remained quiet, letting Jacob speak first. You've all underestimated what we've built here, he began. You think this is just a patch of land. It's not. This farm is protected. It's part of a federally backed research initiative. You can't just sell it. Vanessa narrowed her eyes. Protected how? Jacob pointed toward the barn. I'll show you. As they walked toward it, Brandon whispered to Vanessa, what is he playing at? Claire heard it and turned. He's not playing. You just never cared to ask what he was building. Inside the barn, Jacob calmly began laying out documents. He opened a binder and showed them detailed plans, patent paperwork, and a current valuation of the company. Stone Agricultural Technologies is worth over $50 million, he said evenly. Vanessa gasped. Brandon stepped back, visibly rattled. Claire added, and the land? It's legally owned by the company. Fully paid off. You can't touch it. Her father looked stunned. But we helped with the down payment. Jacob cut in. And we repaid every cent plus interest. We have the canceled checks to prove it. The room fell quiet. No one spoke. Brandon finally found his voice. There's no way this is legit. Agricultural startups crash all the time. You're bluffing. Jacob shook his head and opened his laptop, bringing up earnings reports, licensing agreements, and letters of endorsement from state agriculture departments. Does this look like a bluff? He asked. Claire stepped forward. You looked down on us because we weren't flashy. But while you were investing in fake deals, we were building a legacy. Her mother sat down slowly on a crate, her face pale. I didn't know, she whispered. Claire stared at her. Because you never asked. Claire's father tried again. We're not your enemies, Claire. We're family. Claire's eyes narrowed. Family doesn't ignore you until they need you. Family doesn't mock your life choices and then demand a piece of it. Vanessa stepped forward, voice trembling. You don't understand. We're drowning. Brandon's firm lost everything. We've got people threatening lawsuits. This was our only hope. Jacob looked directly at Brandon. You shorted our company, didn't you? Brandon's silence was answer enough. Claire gasped. You bet against us? Brandon avoided their eyes. I didn't think it would work out. Farming tech fails all the time. Claire's heart shattered. Just then a car pulled up. Leonard Davis, Jacob's attorney, stepped out with a briefcase. Hope I'm not late, he said, walking toward them. I heard we were having a family business meeting. Claire looked at Jacob. You called Leonard? Jacob nodded. I wanted everything on record. Leonard began distributing documents. Here are the deed protections, legal filings, and patent records. Also, just to clarify, selling this property would be a multi-year legal process, and you'd have to win a case you can't possibly make. He paused and looked directly at Brandon. And we'll be reviewing your trades related to Stone Agricultural Technologies. Vanessa stepped back, clearly shaken. You would let us lose everything? She whispered. Claire walked toward her. You didn't care when I had nothing. You mocked our wedding, our work, our lives. Now you want to claim it. Her mother stood, trying to reach her. Claire, please. We didn't know how much this meant to you. Claire pulled away. I've spent years trying to earn respect from this family. And all I ever got was silence. Until you needed something. Leonard glanced at Jacob. I'll be outside if you need me. Jacob nodded, his arm slipping protectively around Claire's shoulder. Claire looked at each face in the room. Her parents, Vanessa, Brandon, and Aaron. She spoke slowly. You've made your choices. And now you want me to give up everything to fix your mistakes. Her father tried to interrupt, but Claire held up a hand. No. We're done. This farm, this company, this life, we built it from the ground up. And we're not handing it over. Her mother began to cry. Vanessa turned away, lips pressed tightly together. Claire's voice cracked slightly. You should go. The family shuffled out one by one, their pride and entitlement left in the dust of that barn. As the family's cars disappeared down the gravel road, Claire stood still, her shoulders trembling, not from fear or sadness but release. Jacob wrapped his arms around her from behind. You did it, he whispered. Claire leaned into him. I didn't think I could. You didn't just protect our land, he said. You protected yourself. They walked back toward the farmhouse hand in hand. Inside, the air was calm, the silence no longer heavy but peaceful. On the table sat the documents Jacob had shown earlier, the evidence of their quiet success. Claire looked at them and smiled. Let's never let anyone make us feel small again. That night, Claire received a message from Aaron. It simply said, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this. Can we talk? Claire stared at the screen for a long time before typing back. Yes. But not as sisters fixing a problem. As women starting fresh. Aaron replied with a heart emoji and a dinner invitation. Claire turned to Jacob. It's Erin. She wants to meet. He nodded. She might be the only one who ever saw you. Claire looked out the window. Maybe now she's finally ready to see me for real. For the first time in a long while, the future didn't feel like a battlefield. Felt like something worth walking toward. The next morning, just after sunrise, a government SUV pulled into the driveway. A woman in a sharp blazer stepped out and introduced herself as Sarah Martinez from the Department of Agriculture. She shook hands with Jacob and Claire, beaming. We're impressed, she said. Your early data on drought resistance is groundbreaking. We're ready to move forward with the grant. $2.7 million over 3 years. Claire blinked. It's approved. Sarah nodded. Not just approved. Fast-tracked. She glanced across the fields. Your work could change how the world grows food. Claire smiled slowly, still absorbing the words. Jacob squeezed her hand. Told you we were just getting started. After Sarah left, Claire and Jacob walked through the fields in silence. The breeze was soft. The sun stretched over the rows of crops. Funny, Claire said, how they wanted us to give all of this up for their bad choices. Jacob looked around and said, this land gave us everything they couldn't. Claire nodded. Respect. Purpose. Each other. They stopped near the barn and looked back at their home. We may not have marble countertops or fancy vacations, she said, but we have roots. Real ones. Jacob smiled. And fruit from those roots will feed more than just us. Later that week, Claire met Aaron at a quiet diner in town. Aaron arrived with red eyes and no makeup. I just wanted to say it to your face, she said. I was wrong. I let them talk down to you. I didn't speak up when you needed someone to. Claire looked at her sister for a long moment, then nodded. It's going to take time. But I'm open to rebuilding if it's real. Aaron nodded quickly. It will be. They hugged tightly. Claire realized that not all ties needed to be cut, just the ones that kept her from growing. Weeks passed. Claire worked long days alongside Jacob, their research gaining traction, their crops thriving. People began to call, not out of obligation but to learn. Scientists, professors, even other farmers. The ones who used to mock them now sought their insight. Claire still remembered her father's speech, Vanessa's laughter, Brandon's smirk. But those memories no longer hurt, they taught. She no longer needed their praise to feel valuable. Her worth lived in the soil, in the data, in the smile Jacob gave her every night as they stood side by side, no longer underestimated. One evening, Claire stood alone by the porch, watching the sun dip behind the hills. Her phone buzzed with a message from Sarah Martinez. Your team is being nominated for the National Agricultural Innovation Award. Claire smiled to herself. She didn't need applause. She had built a life of substance, of quiet victories. Jacob stepped beside her, handing her a glass of tea. So what's next? He asked. Claire looked out at the glowing horizon. We keep growing. Not just crops but ourselves. We finally stopped surviving their expectations. Now, we thrive on our own. Moral lesson. When you know your worth, no one can take it from you, not even the people who once made you feel small. True strength is built not in applause but in persistence, integrity, and love.